Hello everyone, this is Esosa Matthew and today we're going to talk about fonts. Okay, so I'm talking about designing in Canva or on Canva and how different features. Okay, I've introduced you to Canva and I've talked about the concept of colors and how to mix colors. So now we're going to talk about fonts. So I have a presentation that I have prepared and I'm just going to show you some of the things that were that you should know when working with Canva. Now, what are fonts? Fonts are families of letter writing or letters in general that have been put together and are used during design or any form of written work at all. So there's usually a or misconception about what the difference is between fonts and typefaces. All right, so now I'm going to just tell you the difference. So typeface is used to refer to or describe characters that share common design features, and each typeface includes the collection of fonts. So I'm going to give you some examples of font families. Now, font families include the family we have HK Grotesque, Hairline, Helvetica, Crimson Pro, Super Family. So I'm just going on and you might not understand. So let's come here. Let's create a text and I'll show you how to apply fonts. So this is, you see this button here, fonts. This is where you're going to see everything. These are all types of fonts. You can see now this is Crimson Pro. This is a family and we have other fonts under it. Then we have super families. So now talking about super families, we have the, I'll delete this now. We have the Allegoria, we have Allegoria serif and Allegoria sans serif. Now talking about serif and sans serif. Okay, let's go back to the difference between typeface and fonts. Now you can see Crimson Pro is a typeface, but the font under it can be Crimson Pro Bold. Crimson Pro Bold, sorry. Crimson Pro Bold. So, and we also have other types. I already talked about this for family and super family. Now, some important classification of typefaces. We have serif, sans serif, slab serif, script, and display. So coming back to this, let's create another text so you can see. Now when you come to your fonts and you want to pick a font, you can see here it's written try calligraphy or open sans. These are types of fonts, but if you want to pick from a particular family, you type here and you can see handwriting, corporate, display, headings, paragraph, sans serif, serif, rounded, modern, bold. These are ways in which you can have your fonts come out. But the basic classification we have of fonts are serif, sans serif, slab serif, script, and display. So let's search for serif fonts. Serif. Alright, so when we search for serif fonts, these are some examples of serif fonts that we have here. There are some examples of serif fonts that we have here. So let's go back and search for sans serif. Alright, so wait for it to load. Alright, so these now are examples of sans serif fonts. Sans, okay, it's actually called sans serif fonts. Sorry about this mistake. They are sans serif fonts. These are examples of sans serif fonts. So when you're working, you have to know the basic type of design you want to do. Now, what is the difference between all these type families? And let me try to zoom in so you can see. Now, for serif, you can see that they have these little decorative edges around the X, the E, the arrow. This type now is different from this. If you can look at it very well, you can see these extra blocks by the side on each letter. Even the arrow on this is different from this. But this sans serif is just a plain writing. It's like the writing that is used on our computer screen, your phone screen. Your default keyboard mode is sans serif. Now for slab serif, it's like in between the serif and sans serif, where we have letters that have this block back block holding and extra decorative around them. As you can see, the arrow here is not exactly the same as the arrow on this serif. Okay, so I tried to use the fonts of each of these words that I typed as the actual font as typed here. Now we also have script. So script is like a handwritten kind of font. When you have your normal handwriting, that is what script is. And we have display. So I'm going to show you some examples. Let's click text. I'm going to show you some examples. Let's use fonts. So let's search for, we already searched for sans serif fonts. You can see that there's a difference among the type of fonts that we have. So now let's search for slab fonts, slab serif, sorry. So we're going to search for slab serif. You can see the difference now. These are types of slab serif fonts. It's almost like a serif, but it has its own block and holding behind it. So it tends to be a bit smaller towards the sans serif type, but it is a slab serif. Now next, let's check out the script font. Script. So like I said, these ones I'm searching now, they are all typefaces. So everything that will come out as results after I search, they are fonts which are members of this typeface family. Okay, so in case you did not understand, these ones now, for example, the script, the display, the sans serif, serif, and slab serif, they are all typeface families. Now when you search for them, every type that you see under, they are all fonts which are members of these families. So under script we have Buhari script, intro script, we have Quotient script, we have Nexa script, and so on and so forth. Then next we have display. So let me show you what the display. So we have it here though. So display is used as an expressive typeface that is used for expressive designs. It is used for expressive designs. Now scripts, I forgot to say that scripts, they are neat and creative features used for highlighting words or breaking up big blocks of text. But display, they are expressive typefaces and are great for catching the attention of your audience. Now just see, you can see the way display is. Various type of display fonts. Now this one is absolutely beautiful. Major mono display. And you can see it is used for creating and catching the attention of your audience. They are meant to be used for titles and short text. That is display typeface. Now something I forgot to say before is that for this serif and sans serif here, because it tends to cause confusion sometimes. Now serif type of font or serif typefaces are used when it comes to your magazines, books, newspapers, because they are easy to read. Like they are easy when read on paper or on print. These serif fonts, they are easy when read on paper or on print. That is why they are mostly used in magazines and any work or any work of design that can be printed. That is for serif font. But sans serif is what you see on the web or on your phone screen, just like here now, this canva.com that is showing here, this duplicate, add, all these hides. The font that they use for this is called the sans serif font. Let me reduce the brightness of my phone. Okay, the fonts that they use for all of this delete, duplicate, add, these are all sans serif fonts. Okay, I hope you got that. So next up, let's talk about the rules of font pairing. So number one, you have to remember the general rule: opposite attracts. Now this is an example. This is a script, and this is a sans serif font. So we have opposite attracts. So in this example now, I used the Nexa script and Nonito. So if you're looking for this font, all you have to do is type here, come to text, for example, I was adding a new text. Come to text, then click edit, then edit the words. Let's just say goodbye, for example. Then you come to fonts. Then all you have to do is just search for it. Come down here, come back, click here and search for it. Nunito. Okay, there you have it. That is it right there. Nunito, as you can see, it's right here. So that is how you search for fonts that you want to use. So that is that about that. So I'm going to delete this now. I'm going to delete this now. So this is a type of font pairing. Opposites, remember that opposites are trash. So I use a script typeface and a sans serif typeface font. This is Nunito is a type of sans serif font. Nunito is a sans serif font, and Nexap script is a script font. So next, you can also do your designs in this format, in which you use the same type of font, but you have it in a black and light shade. You can have it in a bold and light shade, a thick and thin shade, but just like this. So let me search for this now. You can go back and search. Okay, so if you want to get this, all you have to do is search for Barlow black font and Barlow light. So it's okay. Let me search for the Barlow, and just so we can see the different type of fonts under this. So let's search. Let's write search here. So I'll increase the font size so you can see it better. All right. Okay, so now let's search for the font. Search Barlow. So I just want to show you the different types of this Barlow font. You can see Barlow condensed, Barlow semi-condensed, Barlow condensed bold, Barlow semi-condensed B, Barlow black, Barlow bold, Barlow light, Barlow middle, and Barlow thin. So what I'm basically telling you here as a second option is that when using your fonts, you can mix any of these, the same type of font under the same typeface. This is the same type of font under the same typeface, okay, but you can mix it in any way that you want. This is now in this example, I use the Barlow black and Barlow light. You can also change it to Barlow bold and Barlow light, or Barlow thin and Barlow thick. So when writing, like for your headings, your headers for your graphics design, all these things are important, because you'll be wondering what font you should use, what font you should apply to your design. So make sure you take note of this. You can use the same fonts but use it in two different types of that one font. You can use the black of it and the light of it, the thick and thin, or the bold and light. Alright, so next example is you can mix a sans serif and serif, making the sans serif the heading and the serif the body text. Okay, making the serif the heading and the serif the body text. For example, like in this example now, this you can see this font that I used to write this is the Noti Sans, and the font I used to write this is the Noto serif. Okay, the Noti Sans serif and the Noto serif. Like I showed you before, you have to do is search for fonts and apply that. So rule number 2, do not use more than 3 typefaces in one design. That means do not combine serif, sans serif, and script. Then you also want to add display to the same design. That is a no. So next, always establish type hierarchy. That means there should be a difference or a distinction between your heading, your subheading, and your body text. You will learn more about heading, subheading, and body text in the video about text and elements. Okay, so the next font pairing rule. Okay, we're going to give font pairing examples. All right, font pairing examples. Some examples of how fonts can be paired. So, like in this example now, you can mix one typeface into two. You can make one typeface into two, just like in the example I showed you before. And this is play fair display, and you can use play fair display bold. For example, like I said before, all you have to do is come to fonts, search play fair display, and this is a type of display font. This is a font under the display typeface, which you can use to which you can use as an expressive type for your headings. So this is it. This is how it comes out. We have play fair display, we have play fair display black, and we have play fair display SC. These are other examples of display. So you can use one typeface, which is the display typeface, and then you use two different fonts under that typeface. And number two, for example, you can see it in this example. This header now, the unique graphics design class, in this header I use the Playfair display bold. In this header, the unique graphics design class, I use the Playfair display bold. And in this body text, the welcome to class text, welcome to class, we shall talk about flyers today, I use the Playfair display. This is how you can mix your designs using fonts to make it look nice. So next example is you can use the same type of font and keep one in a small size and the second one in italics. Your header or your heading text, or the text that you want people to see first when they look at your graphics, can be in a small size, and the second or the body text, which is also in the same font, can be in italics. If you want to know how to change between bold and italics in your text, you can check the video on text and elements. Alright, so number 3 rule, I think we're in number 3 right now. The type should contrast, not clash. The type should contrast and not clash. For example, you see this now, this type of fonts here, this and this is a no. Do not do this in your design. You should not use two serif fonts of the same weight and size on the header and the body text. This is wrong. This is very, very wrong. It will look very, very improper in your design, so do not do this. If you have two serif fonts and you want to use, just like in this first video, or sorry, in this first canvas, when I said that you can use one typeface in two, if you want to do that, please make sure that the sizing is appropriate. Do not use one typeface in two and keep them in the same size and weight. Either you change it to italics or you change the weight and the size of the header and the body text. Alright, so the next one, you have to check the X height of your font. Imagine that this is a line. You do not want to use text that are not touching the line at the same point. Okay, just like this now, you can see that one is touching this line. This is like lines of a page, for example, or grid lines that you can use when designing. You can see this is a serif. This is a sans serif. Alright, so this first font is a serif font and the second one is a sans serif. Okay, the second one is a sans serif. So even if you want to mix a serif and a sans serif, it should not be on the same line. Like in a long sentence, putting them together, it just does not make sense. So always check the X height of your fonts. Now, For the next rule, never use double script in your header and body text. That should be very obvious. Like doing a design that has this type of font, this is rubbish. Like, it's not, when you're using fonts, what you want to look out for is that it is legible enough and it is readable. Legible and readable. Now, this, if somebody was to read this, the person might get confused as to how to put the characters together. So when you are doing your design, make sure that your flyer or whatever you are designing is the fonts or whatever, or the words that you have written in there is legible and is readable. It is readable in the way that the person can understand. Now, this is all just juggled together and mumped up together, so this is a no. Do not use two scripts. Do not you type two script typefaces in your design. Use just one, and you can just use it for decoration, not like it's the actual main header, header font for your design. So then the next thing we're going to talk about is this. So if you are thinking about a very nice way to put your designs together, remember this. You can use, for the header, okay, for the heading text, you can use a sans serif font. Now in this text, I use a sans serif font. I use a sans serif font. Then for your subheading, you can use a serif font, and for your body text, you can use. So I've been telling you about the do's and don'ts, and mostly about the don'ts that you should not do in your design. So what should you actually do? For example, you want to have a simple, fine, nice design. This is a step that you can use 3 fonts with or in. So you can use the serif font for your header and use it in a bold or big size, and then you can interlice that serif font and use as your subheading. Then to finish it up, and as your body text, you can then make use of your sans serif. So let's check out the fonts I actually used for this text. Let me look for it so you can see. Let's go back. Okay, so what font did I use for this text? Alright, so I used the DM serif display. Then I also used the DM serif display in interlaced form, and then I used the DM sans. So it's like the same basic type of family, but in the same basic type of super family, but in the big size for the header, interlaced size for the subheading, and body text as a sans serif. So thank you guys, that should be the end of the class on fonts. And in the next video, we're going to talk properly on text, how to align your text, and on elements.